yourself with effort, responsibility, and intention. But effort alone does not guarantee direction, and good intentions do not prevent regret from quietly taking root. Wasted life is rarely obvious while it is happening. It does not announce itself with failure or collapse. It appears as routine, comfort, and delay. Days fill up, years pass, and nothing feels terribly wrong, yet something essential is always being postponed. Most people believe they will wake up one day and suddenly feel ready to live fully. They imagine clarity will arrive on its own, as if time itself delivers courage. But time does not create readiness. It only reveals what you repeatedly chose to avoid. You can feel this truth when you are alone. In quiet moments, a voice reminds you that you are capable of more than you are currently demanding from yourself. That voice does not accuse you. It waits patiently, growing heavier with every delay. Wasted life is built from small compromises. Each time you silence a calling, shrink a goal, or choose comfort over conviction, you lose nothing immediately. The cost is deferred. It gathers silently like interest until it becomes impossible to ignore. Most men do not die because life defeated them. They die because they never truly entered it. They stayed near the edge, watching, preparing, planning, and explaining, while the years carried away the strength they were saving for later. You may tell yourself that timing is the issue, that circumstances must improve first, that responsibilities justify waiting, but responsibilities never disappear and timing is never perfect. Waiting becomes a habit long before it becomes a reason. There is a difference between patience and avoidance. Patience moves forward with discipline. Avoidance pretends to be careful while standing still. One builds a future. The other preserves comfort until comfort becomes a cage. Look honestly at the goals you once spoke about with certainty. Notice how quietly they have faded, not because they lost importance, but because postponement dulled their urgency. Delay is the most effective way to kill a dream without admitting it. Life does not punish in dramatic ways. It punishes with repetition. The same year lived again. The same conversations, the same frustrations. One day you realize that what you feared risking has already been lost to inaction. Most people misunderstand regret. They think it comes from failure. It does not. Regret comes from knowing you could have acted and chose not to. Failure leaves lessons. Avoidance leaves questions that never stop asking themselves. You were not meant to live cautiously. You were meant to live deliberately. Deliberate living accepts discomfort in exchange for meaning. Cautious living avoids discomfort and quietly trades meaning for safety. Every year you delay becomes evidence that shapes your identity. Eventually, you stop seeing yourself as someone who will act someday and begin seeing yourself as someone who never does. That belief is harder to escape than any circumstance. You still have time, but not unlimited time. Time is not an ally unless it is directed. Without direction, it accelerates regret. With decision, it compounds progress. The difference is not age, it is resolve. Wasted life does not feel dramatic. It feels familiar. That is why it is dangerous. Familiarity dulls urgency, and urgency is the engine of meaningful action. Without it, even opportunity feels optional. The world does not ask whether you are ready. It responds only to what you decide. And decision is not a feeling. It is a commitment that survives discomfort, doubt, and delay. If you listen carefully now, it is because something inside you recognizes the truth before the mind argues it away. That recognition is not fear. It is awareness arriving before it is too late. You cannot reclaim wasted years, but you can prevent wasted ones. That choice does not require perfection, certainty, or approval. It requires only that you stop negotiating with delay and act on what you already know matters. This is not a warning meant to frighten you. It is an invitation to wake up while there is still time to live with intention. Because the only tragedy greater than wasting your life is realizing it when there is no time left to change it. There is a quiet way in which most men lose their lives, and they call it living. It does not happen in great defeats or sudden ruin. It happens by inches in ordinary days, through harmless postponements that appear wise, reasonable, and safe. What they call caution is often surrender wearing a polite disguise. I have watched men grow old waiting for the perfect time. They spoke endlessly of plans, of careful preparation, of how they must make sure. Years passed, and they never realized that waiting had already become their life. Readiness, they thought, was coming tomorrow, but tomorrow was always busy dying into yesterday. The tragedy of most lives is not misfortune, it is half living. Men rise, they labor, they rest, they repeat. They fulfill their duties, pay their debts, and call this discipline. But deep within, there remains an unspoken knowing that something essential has been postponed so long that it has become a stranger to them. A man can work hard every day and still waste his life. Hard work without direction is like water poured upon sand. It makes effort visible but leaves no harvest behind. The world rewards motion only when it is governed by purpose. Effort divorced from decision is the slowest form of decay. I do not speak to condemn labor. I honor it. But labor must serve something higher than repetition. Without a clear aim, routine turns from servant to master. It begins quietly, whispering that safety is success, that stability is wisdom. Soon it convinces the soul that motion equals meaning, and meaning is forgotten. Most men die of later. It is a disease without symptoms, spreading through justification and small comforts. Later I will begin. Later I will decide. Later I will live as I know I should. And later becomes never, not by event, but by erosion. The lie of the right time has enslaved more talent than failure ever could. There is no perfect season for courage. There is no schedule for faith. Conditions never align until a man himself aligns with decision. The law of life is movement. Energy obeys the one who commands it. I learned long ago that the world belongs to those who begin. The timid spend their strength in preparation. The bold invested in progress. Every advantage grows from action, not intention. 1 hour of definite direction outweighs a year of clever planning that never touches reality. Henry Ford did not wait for permission to shape his idea. He began when all experts told him he was a fool. His machines broke, his partners left, his money vanished, but his direction never wavered. He obeyed the law of motion, and motion, when sustained, compels results. I once knew a clerk who dreamed of owning his own business. He studied, he saved, he planned. But each year he decided he was not quite ready. He waited for a perfect economy, for clearer knowledge, for the approval of those who feared more than he did. He died prepared for a life he never lived. Compare him to the man who begins before he is ready. Imperfection does not slow him. It refines him. His failures become teachers. His errors become instruction. The very friction of his struggle sharpens the tools of success. Life assists the man who dares to move. Time is not patient with hesitation. It continues forward, collecting interest on every moment you delay. You may not notice the cost at first, but delay compounds. Each day of indecision adds weight to the next, until the habit of postponement becomes your nature. Routine is the thief of vitality. It whispers comfort while draining conviction. You believe you are being responsible, but what you call duty often hides fear of change. True responsibility is not remaining where you are. It is fulfilling what you are capable of. There is a form of safety that kills. It kills the spirit by numbing it. A man who will not risk discomfort for growth dies daily in small, polite ways. He calls it balance. But balance without progress is only controlled stagnation. Avoidance loves to wear the mask of patience. It says, I am being careful, while it quietly runs from the call of purpose. Maturity, wrongly defined, becomes an excuse for delay. Real maturity is not endless weighing of options. It is the courage to choose one and make it right by perseverance. The cost of hesitation is invisible but absolute. It steals energy, belief, and respect. Every time you retreat from decision, your faith in yourself weakens. Confidence is not built by talk. It is built by acting on what you already know to be right. A man who almost decides, almost commits, almost lives, soon becomes haunted by the ghost of what might have been. Almost is the language of slow defeat. It deceives you into believing that proximity to greatness is equal to greatness itself. But almost builds no monuments, feeds no families, fulfills no soul. You may believe you are safe by waiting, but waiting is not safety. It is slow surrender. The fire of purpose does not stay lit through avoidance. It fades quietly each day you silence it, until one morning you realize it is gone and wonder when it left. Abraham Lincoln knew years of uncertainty, failure, and ridicule, yet he understood that preparation means nothing until put into motion. He rose again and again, not because life favored him, but because he refused to remain still. Action, even small, kept his purpose alive when everything else seemed lost. I have met many men proud of their intentions. They speak as if intention were currency. But the law of life does not reward what you mean to do. It rewards what you actually do. Good intentions kept unexpressed become guilt that hardens into regret. Time itself obeys a simple law. It serves the man who directs it and enslaves the man who drifts. You are its master or its servant, never its equal. The minutes you waste today will demand repayment tomorrow with interest measured in lost peace. Every decision you make today becomes your future multiplied. A single definite act can shift the entire course of your destiny. The man who acts gains knowledge, resources, and allies. The man who waits gains only another reason to explain delay. I do not delay my life in the name of safety. I learned that safety gained by retreat costs more than danger faced with decision. Fear cannot be conquered by logic. It dissolves only through obedience to purpose. You have been told that patience is a virtue. It is when joined with motion. But patience without forward direction is cowardice disguised as virtue. The farmer does not wait idly for harvest. He labors daily while trusting in time. The same law applies to the soul. The difference between existence and expression is obedience. Existence endures. Expression creates. The man who exists lives for comfort. The man who expresses lives for contribution. Only one will die fulfilled. I have seen men wake at 50, realizing that the climb they made was upon the wrong hill. Their achievements looked solid but felt hollow. They had mastered security and lost significance. The tragedy was not that they failed, but that they succeeded in something unworthy of their potential. Do not confuse motion with progress. A rocking chair moves constantly and goes nowhere. The same energy that maintains stagnation, if directed, could have built an empire. Energy obeys decision, not intention. 1 hour of decisive, directed effort outweighs years of vague effort. One clear yes is worth 1,000 maybes. Life respects clarity. Nature itself demonstrates this. A river cuts stone only because it flows one way without apology. Most men pray for opportunity, yet opportunity rarely visits the idle. It comes disguised as difficulty, requiring immediate motion to reveal its value. The man who hesitates sees only the obstacle. The man of decision sees the hidden door within it. The soul was not designed for stagnation. It was built for creation. When you deny it expression, it turns against you. Depression, boredom, and regret are not punishments. They are signals of unused power-seeking release. The great spiritual corruption of almost is that it appears harmless. You believe you have time, that postponement is temporary. But almost erases decades, not days. It convinces you that you are on your way while you stand still. To break free, you must accept that perfect readiness is a myth. Readiness is born of beginning. Decision creates momentum, and momentum reveals wisdom. You do not become qualified before you act. You become qualified because you act. When a man awakens from delay, his presence changes. He becomes urgent but not hurried. His time feels sacred. His conversation shortens. His action lengthens. Those around him feel his conviction even when he says little. He stops speaking of potential. He begins converting it. Each day becomes an investment, not an escape. The idle will resent his decisiveness because his example exposes their comfort as fear. But the awake will rise with him. When a man directs his energy with purpose, time itself begins to bend in his favor. Each hour compounds upon the last. Progress becomes inevitable because intention has turned to obedience. Say this often: time is my servant when I direct it, my master when I waste it. My hours compound only when spent deliberately. Every decision I make today becomes my future multiplied. The law of direction governs all achievement. To drift is to submit to decay. To decide is to command creation. Faith is obedience to time's law, the quiet certainty that every deliberate act plants seed for harvest unseen. Fear of poverty is the same as fear of wasted days. Both are refusals to trust motion. Persistence is not struggle. It is the daily payment of purpose. It is the act of paying your debt to time before interest consumes your potential. If this truth stirs you, act now. Do not promise change, perform it. Choose one neglected duty and complete it today. The smallest act of obedience will break the spell of delay. When you begin to move, time ceases to haunt you. The fear of running out disappears because you are finally using it. The man who lives deliberately never lacks time. He multiplies it through direction. And when others look upon you, they will feel it. Your presence will carry weight. Your voice will carry command. You will become the man who reminds others of their own unfinished lives. For the greatest power a man can possess is the ability to live while he still has time. The present moment is the only place where life exists. It is the single gate through which all success must pass. The past is memory, the future imagination. Only the present is command. Yet most men spend their lives absent from it, haunted by what has been and anxious for what may come, while the power they seek stands quietly in their hands unused. The cure for wasted life is not more time, it is more presence. A man does not need longer years, he needs concentrated hours. Energy multiplies where attention is fixed. The man who learns to direct his focus controls circumstances. The one who scatters it becomes servant to accident. Faith does not dwell in tomorrow, it acts only in now. All belief must take form through present obedience, or it remains illusion. The man who says, "I will begin when I am ready," confesses disbelief. The man who acts now, though uncertain, commands law to move on his behalf. I once believed progress required speed. But I discovered that true progress requires stillness of mind. The calm man works faster than the frantic one because his attention is whole. He does not divide himself among 10 tasks. He gives his entire being to one. Such concentration produces miracles mistaken for luck. The mind, like light, gains strength when focused. Scattered light warms nothing. Concentrated light burns through steel. When you gather your attention and aim it upon a single aim, you touch power few ever know. The discipline of presence is the secret engine of genius. Thomas Edison understood this law. 10,000 failures did not break him because he was not living in the future where success waited, nor in the past where mistakes whispered. He lived inside each experiment fully, obedient to the present task. That is why he triumphed. Patience is not idleness. It is presence obeyed. Helen Keller, blind and deaf, lived with a focus most men never achieve with all their senses. She did not curse limitation, she converted it. Her attention, undistracted by noise, became a laser upon meaning. Through focus, she turned darkness into light, silence into message, limitation